My name is Freda Aninkorah. I am the COO of Rose Management. It is a talent and marketing agency based out in Toronto, Canada. Rose Management actually started off as a sports agency and has now developed into a full-fledged marketing talent management agency. We manage athletes as well as social media influencers. We're looking to expand into all aspects of entertainment, including the acting world, the music world. We also put on a lot of social impact events in the city, basically trying to build a Northern Rock Nation, if you understand their structure. I'm also a hairstylist. I'm also a motivational speaker. I'm also the girl next door that loves to have a great time while building an empire. So I wasn't born in Canada. I was actually born in Ghana, Africa. West African. I came up here with my parents when I was 5 years old. I don't really remember a lot of my life before I came to Canada. From what I know, my family decided to move to Canada because my dad was already living here before. So my uncle sponsored my dad, and my uncle was here before that. So I think there was more of a conversation between them. I didn't even really understand the trip, to be honest. Once I got here, it was exciting, it was new, it was freezing cold. Learning English, that was a little bit different. There was a bit of a language barrier when I got here, so I had to take ESL classes to catch up. I'm also dyslexic, something that a lot of people don't know, but so even reading numbers like jumbled up and all of that with trying to understand the English language was a little bit tricky. As far back as 8 or 9, I wanted to be a teacher. What I'm doing now, not the same. I guess my dreams or my ambitions of being a teacher changed over time as I started to see other jobs out there. I think that dream was more so being around like my teachers when I first came up here, and I liked what they were doing, and I liked the idea of that whole classroom setting and telling people what to do. But as I started working, and I worked in retail for like 8 years, and I got into retail management positions, I seen that I was able to manage people, so I wasn't as interested in managing children. That's what morphed and shifted a lot of my dreams. I went to school, majored in psychology because I really became obsessed with like the human mind. One of the most challenging situations that I've had that have shaped who I am today would have to be moving out at a young age. I moved out when I was 18 due to like situations at home weren't the best. When I moved out with a boyfriend at a time, that was obviously the most monumental thing that would have happened to me because that defined me paying my own bills and kind of figuring out my own life in a sense. School was delayed because I dropped out to work and pay for different things. Went back into like adult school, got into U of T and studied psychology for 2 years. Dropped out on my second year because bills and making sure I was able to like actually make ends meet and doing my own thing. It's crazy because some people would look at it like, well, why didn't you go back home? My parents actually moved back to Africa maybe 2-3 years after I moved out. So even if I ever wanted to go that route and make it easier, couldn't. So having to understand what bills were at a young age and having to know how to budget and get a job, secure a job, grow in a job, even understanding the dynamics of being on your own, that's really what has helped to shape me. It's made me very independent. It's forced me to not just understand like street smarts, but then as much as I learned in school, use that in the jobs that I've had to be able to really take care of myself. Boldest decision that I'm most proud of, that has also been the most irritating, was quitting my full-time, fairly successful job in banking to pursue entrepreneurship full-time. It's probably the boldest decision I made. I started my talent management, or I guess my entrepreneurial journey, I'm gonna say about 4 years into banking. But prior to, I was a commercial banker. I worked for CIBC, done personal banking, business banking, all of that. And I was actually moving up in the banking world. But as I fell in love with the entertainment world and managing talent and creating as well as merging like brand relationships and just creating opportunities for people, that really became something that excited me. This is the stage, guys, for the awards tomorrow. They did an amazing job. Obviously, being an entrepreneur, money's not steady. You have to work twice as hard. You don't have any hours, but you're always working, as opposed to doing a 9 to 5 or whatever those 8 hours are and knowing where your steady money is coming from. It's been tricky, but that's kind of also what makes it exciting, is because you're constantly challenging yourself to see what you can get done, and everything falls on you. My parents didn't understand what I was doing until I showed them a 15,000 euro check for a deal that I did. That's when they understood what I was doing. For the longest time, when I quit the bank, they didn't get it. You're making so much at the bank, everything was structured, what's going on? I don't get it. Until I showed them that amount, they're like, oh, okay. I guess all of the transitions I've made with my jobs, or how I eventually got into banking, is I followed the money. What job could I do that was really going to hone in on my skills and I could excel in to make the most amount of money? Almost every position I've ever had in my life, I've either been the top in sales, the top manager, or I've made myself so comfortable in the job that I can do whatever I want. Me studying psychology is what actually got me into management, because understanding people, understanding dialogue, understanding behavior is what made me into a good manager. I always tell people I do things not because I want to, but because I know I have to. And as sometimes it sounds bad, because if you have to be forced to do anything, it doesn't seem fun. It's not exciting, you know what I mean? There's a lot of pressure with it. But because I've been on my own for so long, I've always had the mentality of if I don't get it done, it's never gonna get done. So with the mentality of it's just me, especially when my parents moved, and that safety net that a lot of people have when they move out wasn't there, it really kind of put things into perspective that everything that I'm doing is actually just to survive. So a lot of my movements are survival. So now some of the things I do for fun, but for the first maybe like 7-8 years of me being on my own, it was all survival. I didn't come this far to only come this far means by any means necessary I have to make it, because boy have I struggled. It's been a tough, exciting but tough journey. So there's no way I am going through all of that to just be sitting in a stagnant, mediocre place. In 3 to 5 years, I hope Rose Management becomes one of the biggest entertainment marketing firms in Canada. I'm really hoping that we can open up 2 or 3 more offices. We're trying to get down south, one in Atlanta, hoping for one in LA and one in New York. And we really want to be able to put on larger scale events that allow us to bridge the gap between entertainment and social impact. We want to really make sure that if we are working with these talent and we're helping to promote these talent, that in the back end too, that they're doing this for a greater and bigger picture, and also allow them to find opportunities after their talent has passed. So we're looking at even bridging athletes with jobs and ideas and opportunities and investments after they stop playing. So my advice for any youth right now, especially in this climate, is to not take anything for granted. There's so many things that are going on in the world right now. Educate yourself, but just be very self-aware of what's happening. There's a place for everybody to be able to do any and everything that they want to do, if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to do the research, and if you're willing to be humble enough to start from the bottom. In terms of people that are migrating to Canada, Canada's a great place to live. Canada is a great place to at least start your humble beginnings, but understand that it doesn't mean that the life is easier. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a quick road to success. You'll actually find that, my parents tell me all the time that they actually have an easier life in Ghana than they do in Canada. And that's just because there's a lot of safety that first world countries provide, but it's actually a lot more work. There's a lot of third world countries don't seem to understand. There's safety here. There is certain opportunities that yes, you're not going to get back home in terms of you being safe or in terms of you being healthy, but the drive and the work and the money is not the same. So understand that you still have to come here to work. You still have to come here to be in the mentality that you're still building something. This is Freda Aninkorah, and I didn't come this far to only come this far.